Shanti Path is over, I suppose. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vansh Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyah Sarvopaplavarahitah Pragnanaganah Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi Om Shanti 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 Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitan yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ooh. This Mundaka Upanishad belongs to Atharva Veda. There are set of mantras in Atharva Veda. It's in a mantra vibhaga, and the branch shakha, we call it Shaunak Shakha. So, Atharva Veda, Saunaka Shakha, Mantra Upanishad. And there is a mention of Vrata, how the name Mundak came, why it is called Mundaka Upanishad. We'll see the word Upanishad first, and then we'll come back to the word Mundaka. Last time I mentioned Upanishad is not the name of the book. Upanishad primarily means the knowledge, Vidya. In one word, Upanishad means Brahma Vidya. It comes like any other Sanskrit word. This word Upanishad is derived from the verb called Shadru. Most of the Sanskrit words are derived from the verbs with some prefixes and suffixes. Nouns are formed, samasas are formed, etc. are formed. And when these nouns are formed, since they are formed from the verb itself, the very word or a noun itself reveals its own meaning. Okay? What does it mean? It reveals. Like a common, very common word, when we keep studying Vedanta, we keep hearing the word samsara. So there is a verb, sru sara. Sru sara, to move, to slip. Samyak sarati iti samsara. That which keeps on moving effortlessly. That which is always changing. That which is always volatile. That is samsara. Similarly, the word Upanishad has suffixes and prefixes. Suffix comes and converts the verb into karta, doer of something. Then it becomes shad. And there are two suffixes, upa, and prefixes, upa and ni. And the whole word is formed Upanishad. Means doer of something. This is. it becomes a proper noun type of thing. Not a noun, but type of thing. Doer, sense in the sense of doing something. What does it do? The word Shadru has three meanings. One meaning is Visharana, second meaning is Gati, and third meaning is Avasadanam. Okay? Visharanam means Shithilikaranam, to loosen. Avasadanam, to destroy. Gamanam, to take, to lead to. These are the three meanings of this verb. What does it loosen? What does it destroy? Where does it take? This is all implied by two suffixes, upa and ni. And the whole word is Upanishad. So Upanishad means it loosens the bondage of samsara. It loosens as though the asakti or our wrong values, wrong attitude, wrong raga insistences, improper insistences. This destroys something. It destroys the ignorance, self-ignorance, ignorance about the truth. Avasadanam and Gati, it takes me to Brahman. So Upanishad means, last time I mentioned briefly, the knowledge that loosens the bondage of samsara, the knowledge which destroys the ignorance, and the knowledge which takes me to Brahman, which takes me to my Swarupa. In one words, Sarva Dukkha Nivritti Dvara Moksha Gamayati, Moksha Prapayati iti Upanishad. It eliminates all kinds of dukkhas and takes you to moksha. That is called Upanishad. This is a vidya, knowledge. This knowledge does this. And this body, this knowledge is revealed by a set of verbs, mantras, words. The body of the words that comprises this knowledge, that reveals this knowledge, is also called as Upanishad in a secondary sense. When we refer to a book saying this is Upanishad, the word is used in a secondary sense. The primary meaning of the word Upanishad is the knowledge. Knowledge that destroys self-ignorance takes you to Brahman. In other words, Brahma Vidya, self-knowledge, is called Upanishad. And this body of the words or set of mantras revealing the self-knowledge, revealing the identity between individual and total, are there in various sections of different Vedas, various Vedas. This happens to be in the Atharva Veda, in Mundaka Shakha, in Mantra Vibhaga. Therefore, it is called as Mundaka Upanishad. Generally, the name given to that Upanishad has no much significance or implications. It is seen some names are given because that happens to be the first word of the set of mantras. Like our Ishavasya Upanishad, the set of mantras that we studied last time. The first mantra is Ishavasya Vidam Sarvam, and the first word is Ishavasyam. So it is given the name Ishavasya Upanishad. Similarly, Kena Upanishad. There is another Upanishad called as Kena Upanishad. It appears in Sam Veda. It is called Kena because the very first word of the first mantra is Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Manaha. Therefore, it is called as Kena Upanishad. Rishis have not bothered to give their names, and sometimes we don't know who is a Shishya and who is a Guru. We just have this knowledge. So some name is given. This particular thing gets named Mundaka Upanishad because it happens to be in the Mundaka branch of Atharva Veda. There is one interesting fact about it, interesting thing to know about this also. You can relate that part to this Upanishad also. When someone wants to study this Mundaka Shaka, they have to adhere to some vratam, some vows, some discipline. And one of the discipline is Shirovrata. Shirovrata means you have to keep the fire on your head. Okay? Not straight on the head, but in a vessel. You have to put the fire in a vessel, in a pot, and keep that pot on your head and then study. It's symbolic. The fire is a symbol of knowledge. In those days, there were primarily only two sources of light. One was sun and second was fire. That's how humanity survived. Very well lit fire and blazing sun almost has the same color. So that particular color becomes a symbol of light, and light is a symbol of knowledge. Ignorance symbolizes by darkness, and the knowledge is symbolized by light. So in Hindu tradition, we begin all our prayer by lighting a light lamp. We conclude the puja also with arti, it implying that there is a prayer for knowledge, right kind of wisdom, proper wisdom. There is always a proper way of looking at the world. There is a proper way of evaluating my life situation. There is a proper way of evaluating myself as well. And there is an improper way also. So, lighting a lamp is a prayer seeking proper knowledge, proper wisdom to look at the life situation properly, to look at myself properly, and to look at Ishvara properly. Properly means as he is. To know him as he is, there is a prayer. And the one who commits to that lifestyle, lifestyle exclusively in the pursuit of this self-knowledge, exclusively for discovering the truth. The person who commits to that lifestyle is given certain clothes, and that is this color. Ochre clothes, as they call it. This color is color of light, color of fire. One who wears these clothes implies, is declaring to the society that I am the one who has committed himself or herself to the pursuit of knowledge at the exclusion of all other pursuits. That is what we call as sannyas. Total commitment to pursuit of knowledge at the exclusion of everything else is called as mumukshutvam. The person is a mumukshu, desirous of moksha, wanting moksha. And what type of mumukshutvam one should have? They say deepta shikhavat. The traditional example. This Babaji is having a matted locks, huge chata. All those hairs are usually dry, very dry because they don't have oil. And it is all dry. Somehow, a spark of fire came and hit it. And the jata started burning. At that moment, the person may be eating the dish that he wants to eat, most favorite dish he might be eating, might be listening something or doing anything, whatever he likes. But he gives up everything and wants only one thing, that is water, to extinguish this fire. Nothing else. Wherever available, whosoever supplies him, whatever may be the condition, everything is subservient. Important is I should have some water to extinguish the flame. That kind of single pointed commitment to address to a desire for moksha is called mumukshutva. That is symbolized by that shiro vratam, holding the fire on your head. That means here is a person who has committed himself or herself to moksha at the exclusion of all other pursuits of life. Okay? That is shiro vratam, symbolized by. Another one, another meaning also, fire in the head. Means fire, as I said, symbolizes knowledge. Here is a person who has some knowledge. Which knowledge? That way, when you simply say knowledge, it can mean anything and everything, Knowledge about Donald Trump onwards. or knowledge about some science onwards, anything. But then knowledge here means maturity. One who has shiro vrata means the person who is relatively matured. The person who has grown subjectively grown up person, psychologically grown up person, not only physically grown up. What do we mean by psychological growth? As I said, maturity. What do we mean by maturity? In one word, if I say this, matured is a person who is more objective. Objective in evaluating life experiences, objective in relationship, objective to himself or herself, relatively objective person is a factual person, and relatively subjective person lives in the world of his subjective world, his or her. That means world of likes and dislikes. He or she is living in the world of likes and dislikes, trying to fix up the world in the structure laid down by his or her likes and dislikes, trying to fix up the relationship, his own life situations within the framework of likes and dislikes. Therefore, always trying to restructure the external world. That means, in one known word, if I say absence of vairagya, matured is a person who is viraktaha, who has vairagya, dispassion. Please understand, we keep using the word dispassion, but you have to see, I repeat, you have to see the meaning of the word dispassion is objectivity. Need not give up the things. And even if you happen to give up, you have opportunity to give up, you may give up. But with whatever little world that you have to relate to, one ought to be objective there also. Normally, as they would say, that this fellow had 5,000, let us say figuratively, 5,000 likes and dislikes, 5,000 things, gave up everything and has only 50 things now left with him. He had 5,000 things, now 50. But the likes and dislikes are 100 times on each item. It is a condensed likes and dislikes. Like high potency homeopathy medicine, high power allopathic medicine. That is not vairagya. Vairagya means I learn to be objective in every life situations. Whatever little or less life situations that I have to face with it, I still learn to be objective. So the person having Shiro Vratam means having fire on the head, means having knowledge, means that here is a person who is objective, who has vairagya. Two things are conveyed by the Shiro Vratam. One, who has vairagya, and mumukshutva. See, this also is to be seen every moment. I see sometimes people, while attending the class, suddenly start typing the messages. Even that much vairagya is missing, as though President Biden or Modi ji had called them and asking for an immediate report, and they get into mobile. That's looseness. Mokshutva means here I am exclusively, as Pujya Swamiji used to tell this while doing meditation, which is true for attending class also. I have an appointment with myself. This is the most important, most valued time for myself. It is me with whom I am giving time. So I should give it exclusive attention, complete attention to pursuit of study. Mumukshu or sannyasi is the one who is willing to give 24/7, that kind of attention. And that person can study this Upanishad. It is called, therefore called as Mundaka Upanishad. And of course, one popular meaning is also is there. Mundanam. Mundanam means shaving of the head. Shaving of the hairs. So one with Mundanam studies Upanishad. Therefore it is called Mundaka Upanishad. That is Hindi-tized Sanskrit. Okay? It is a Hindi meaning of, like in sometimes in some of the news channels mix up Hindi and English. So in India there is a new word, Hinglish news, Hinglish news, not English, but Hinglish. It is Hindi English. Similarly, this is like that. Just to explain you something about why shaving of the head. The hair represents, is symbolic of number of desires that one has. Countless hairs. Desires are also countless. And more you cut it, more it keeps growing. Simply cutting it doesn't get over for good. It keeps growing. So also, by fulfilling a given desire, there is no assurance that it will not pop up again. It will come again. So hairs, there are a lot of similarity between hair and desires. So it is a symbol of desires. Shaving of the hairs, removing the hairs, meaning thereby suspending all the desires. Okay? The one who doesn't have hair, those who are bald, doesn't mean they are desire free. Okay? That also is not true. There are so many bald fellows. And they are not moksha adhikaris. But then it's a symbolic gesture. Suspension of all desires. They don't go for good desires. That will be there as long as the mind is. But to be objective to them, ultimately, absolute objectivity, mano buddhi chittani naham naham, that is giving up the desire. The shed off all the binding desires. We'll see that part when we study Gita. So, mumukshu, or the one who has shaven the hair, means the person who has suspended all his or her desires with only one desire for moksha ichcha. He or she commits to the lifestyle in the pursuit of knowledge. Okay? That is why it is called Mundaka Upanishad. Now each Veda has different Shanti mantras, prayer at the beginning. The Samaveda Shanti mantra is Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranaschakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarot, etc. etc. Rigveda has Vang Me Manasi Pratisthita Mano Me Vachi Pratishtitam Aviravirva Edhi Vedasya Maani Staha Shrutam Me Ma Prahasi Anena Dhitena Ahoratran Sandadhami Shrutam Vadishyami. That is a further up, that's a Rigveda Shanti mantra. Krishna Yajurveda has Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu. Shukla Yajurveda is Purnamadaha Purnamidam. Therefore, before studying Ishavasya Upanishad, we always used to chant Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat, etc. And the Atharva Veda Shanti mantra is Bhadram Karne Vishnunuyama Devaha. Bhadram Pashe Makshabir Yajatraha. That is the Shanti mantra. So before we start the study of this Upanishad, we will chant this mantra daily. Now, just to explain you further, at the end of every Shanti mantra, we always say Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We chant Shanti 3 times. Why not 2 times, or why not 5 times, or why not once, etc.? That is a prayer to be released from 3-fold obstructions. 3 types of vignas, as we call it. One is the obstructions can come from myself, called as Adhyatmika Paribalani. Second is obstructions can come from the external world, known Adi Bhautikani Vignani. And last one is Adi Daivika Vignani. Some divine intervention. We call it Samashti Prarabdha obstructions. Subjective Ashanti is both physical as well as psychological. One may fall ill physically, may have some pain in some of the part of the body demanding attention, or maybe some psychological disturbances. Something happened before the class, something flashed back in the mind about some unpleasant, undigested, unresolved past experiences. And the feeling, why me? Why me? Came up suddenly. That grumbling fellow or felly kept on grumbling and cannot focus or study. There's a prayer to help us to keep away from such obstructions. First, Shanti. Adi Bhautika Shanti. From bhutas, beings around, maybe my family members, my neighbor, some government thing or something. In those days they say some snake coming or even a mosquito is enough to keep you disturbed. That is Adi Bhautika. You know the reason why this is happening. It is a disturbance. It's an obstruction for your pursuit of the knowledge. There is a prayer to the Lord, oh Bhagavan, keep such obstructions little away from me. May I be protected from these distractions. May I have a freedom so that I may pursue this knowledge. The last Shanti is for Adi Daivika. Some, as they call it, supernatural, some divine interventions. Like Corona. It's Samashti Prarabdha. Floods, earthquakes, etc. that can cause disturbance in your pursuit of study. There is a prayer unto the Lord, seeking His help so that the student is protected from these 3 kinds of obstructions or 3 types of these disturbances. Thereby, one can focus oneself to this pursuit of knowledge, to the pursuit of study. It is like a guard, a tree guard. Prayer, like when you plant a tree, a roadside tree, you have a tree guard till the tree becomes strong enough. So this prayer is like a tree guard, seeking protections from these internal as well as external forces. And there is a specific prayer also. That mantra we will study during our next class, and then we will start the study of the Upanishad from next class. That is happens to be tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.